Hi, it's me, Metal 87 Power. According to the trends on YouTube, the most popular videos are that about video games and movies and so on and so on. Whether those things are of high quality or of very low quality. I enjoy watching some of them. The Angry Video Game Nerd and Nostalgia Critic and so on. But I would like to introduce you to my own little world of books. This is my subsection because there is a higher section that includes all English books. With I have about 30% of my private library contains those English books, and there is a separate section of literature, novels, poetry, even some philosophy and some social sciences. And there is section of English textbooks. Only textbooks printed and by English, mostly by English mostly in English, and only with English descriptions, answers, questions, comments, and so on. It's a little fancy for me, but I'm a humble man, and this is only for my own benefit, because of that I can learn and brush up my English skills. Reading more stuff in English, especially the stuff about learning, is more beneficial to learn, to widen your knowledge and your skills. So it's not because I am showing off how smart I am, because I am not, as you can probably hear by my this is the third attempt to record that. So, putting that aside, because it's probably already too boring, let's get to the work. Let's get inside the topic. So first I have Oxford edition of Dictionary of English Idioms. I very highly prize Oxford textbooks, dictionaries. I have more. I have plenty of dictionaries, and as such, because I am a kind of lexicographer, and I like to compare the vocabulary in both and the definitions of many words, because they are different. Sometimes the definitions are very different. Sometimes they are just they describe really almost the same thing, but with different words. Sometimes there is because those dictionaries were printed in the span of several decades. Sometimes the definitions changes. Sometimes, and this is a good example in that. I have two of those English idioms by Mordy. Just for better shape. This was my first, and it was the first book which started my collection of English textbooks, English learning books. This was one of the first, because I thought it was really special. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's common in England and and Western countries. But for me, it's nostalgic almost. I love this first introduction, the scientifical, even if it's brief, and there is nothing like that in the future editions. The English language belongs to the Indo-European group of family of languages. The Indo-European language consists of a collection or vocabulary of reconstructed and theoretical linguistic forms from which most of the present European languages, together with most of those of India and Persia, have been shown to have descended. And there's really interesting, beautiful quotation. English. English possesses a veritable power of expression, such as perhaps never stood at the command of any other language of man. Its highly spiritual genius and wonderfully happy development and condition have resulted from a surprisingly intimate union of the two noblest languages in modern Europe, the Teutonic and the Romance. It is well known in what relation these two stand to one another in the English tongue. The former supplying in far larger proportion the material groundwork, the latter the spiritual conceptions. In truth, the English language, which by no mere accident has produced and upborne the greatest and most predominant poet of modern times, as distinguished from the ancient classical poetry, I can of course only mean Shakespeare, may with all right be called a world language, in wealth, good sense, and closeness of structure. No other of the languages at this day spoken deserves to be compared with it. Well, I don't want to be an English supremacy guy or something. It's just beautiful quotation by, I think it was a Grimm. I don't know that the guy who wrote with his brother who wrote the famous tales, fairy tales, the German brothers. I don't know. Maybe they shared the same name. And of course, there is biblical quotation and more phraseology from the Bible. This was the times when the Englishmen, England, had embraced their Christianity, not like today. So here it is. And it's not bad to learn English from the Bible, because those idioms can still be alive in the speech of old people and old generations. Besides, you can't burn down the whole libraries. The language still exists there in old books, old. You can't just say it has never existed. The second editions doesn't have those. This is the more modernized edition from about 1980s or not even 78, which has which lacks the brief introduction about English, about language history and so on, and it's more pragmatical and yes, more pragmatical. I think this is the Jennifer Seidel, I don't know how to pronounce it. it's her deal. It's not, and this is actually, yeah, very useful book. I've been learning it more actively, and that's why this was actually the edition. That's why it's so in this poor shape. I was carrying it with in my pocket, in my sack bag, and so on for some time. And this is the 5th edition. I would like to have every edition of this book, of this title. Well, I should mention that. And so there's another change, and this is I think it's still not very updated because we have 2017, and that this edition is from still 1990. But there are more business idioms and so on and so on. There are divisions according to the most frequent words you can use. Even a student of English at a very basic level can use that book, because there is a division according to the very basic vocabulary: above, across, after, against, at, behind, below, animals, colors, numbers, sizes, time. And you don't have very long definitions. This 5th edition lacks the more elaborate definitions, as this edition. You can see the word. This phrase is often used in the sense of people generally, and there is an example. The opinion of the world therefore means the general or common opinion of men, which here you have a good time, enjoy oneself, and that's all. And there is an example. I wasn't looking forward to this stuff outing, but we all had a really good time. It's not bad, more practical. What else? And there is another edition of Harap's idioms. Because it's this should be a particularly American idioms, to adjust it to the American English. And that's why it's worth to have it, because there are many variants of English language. And there is a Penguin Dictionary of English Idioms. That's small, useful, I think. And the phrasal verbs by Collins co-built dictionary. We have more dictionaries of Collins. Very nice layout and the division of material. And you can see the descriptions: verb plus adverb plus noun. Yes, it's very helpful to learn as well, especially because the idioms has can be cut in different ways when you have like speak up or go down. You know this. The verb plus adjective or adverb So you have to know. Hand out. If you hand something out to people, you don't use if you hand out something to people. You may, but it's more proper to separate those two words. If you, verb hand, something adverb out to people, you give each person in a group one of a set of similar or identical things. And there is also some particles index. And each there are different forms of each verb. Write, writes, writing, wrote, written. Because idioms, of course, can be used in different times. Write back, wrote back. I wrote back to her, so on. And last but not least, whoopsie, daisy. The shelf is very narrow, and actually very small. American idioms and idiomatic usage. Harold Whitford. This is also some little thing, nothing special. But I had to purchase it because it's about American idioms, and most of my dictionaries are yet about British English. So maybe the last is practical guide to colloquial idiom, W.J. Ball. Well, some exercises. I like those kind of exercises. They are well printed. I don't need and I dislike when there are too many pictures, and especially when those pictures are ugly drawings of some looking like 5-year-olds drawings. And I like to put a higher to start from a higher level, to brush and so also use my imagination. And I think I will end it here because it's all from English idioms section. Take care and see you next time, or later read you next time.